All right, so I tried to fit it in the last video, but I only have 5 minutes on each video. So this diagram deserves its own video. This diagram you are going to see for the rest of the semester in biology. What this diagram shows is a reaction proceeding forward. In order for the reaction to occur, again, the substrate has to fit into the enzyme, and then ta-da, a reaction happens. So this purple object you see is the enzyme. As you see, the enzyme in a very specific spot and a very specific shape, we have the active site. Our reactants or substrates fit perfectly into that enzyme. Remember that lock and key model. Once the reactants / substrates fit into the enzyme, the reaction can proceed forward. Eventually, those reactants get broken down into two smaller new products. We would call this an example of digestion, since we're taking one large molecule and breaking it down into two smaller ones. As you see, the enzyme shape did not change. Therefore, it can be reused again and again and again. However, an enzyme cannot always be reused if it is denatured. So that's the next thing we're going to talk about. An enzyme can be denatured, which means that the active site changes the shape of the enzyme. If the shape changes of the active site, the substrate can no longer fit. So think of a Pac-Man, how a Pac-Man has that triangle sort of mouth. Imagine if it changed into a squiggly circle. That substrate would no longer be able to fit. So an enzyme can be denatured based off of the wrong environment from two things. Either the temperature is off or the pH is off. It's kind of like if you take a lock and you were to melt it because the temperature got too hot, that key would no longer work. The same thing happens with our enzymes. Enzymes stop working when things get too hot or too cold or too acidic or too basic. So when you get sick and you get a fever, that heat causes enzymes to not be able to work properly, which is why you get sick. So again, denaturation just means that we changed the shape of the enzyme and it no longer works.